One of these costs $500, the other one costs $2,500, but what's the difference? They look the same, right? Well, today we're gonna put them to the test. We're gonna find out if it's worth spending the extra $2,000 on the luxury wheel set. Let's go find out.
It's gonna be a great day today, guys.
This is a mess, dude.
So we're using my iCan wheels for this video, and I have them set up tubeless. And since we want to make sure that all variables are eliminated, Jeff is now hosing out my sealant in his front yard.
Tubeless sucks. Okay, so what are we testing specifically? Well, we have the Roval CLX 50s, which are $2,500 versus the iCan Alpha 50s, which are $500. As the name suggests, these are both 50mm carbon deep wheels, which is kind of the standard for road racing, but that's where the similarities end. What are you paying for an extra $2,000 on these? Well, I raced these for a number of years. In fact, these are like the only things that survived my crash from earlier this year. So I know how these feel, especially in a crosswindy day like today. So that's one of the things that you're paying for, is stability in crosswind. These are designed in a wind tunnel, so not only are they supposed to be more stable in a crosswind, they're also supposed to be more aerodynamic. They have this pretty unique profile. They're unique in a couple of ways. You can see how thick the front rim is. This is designed to increase the airfoil design and to give it more aerodynamics and make it overall faster. Also, it has what I like to call a mullet design. It's a shallower rim profile in the front, deeper in the back, business in the front, party in the back. So there's all these features that Specialized, or Roval, has come up with to make these as stable and as fast as possible. Quality control is another thing you pay for, and let's be honest, you're paying for their marketing program because they spend a lot of money marketing these products. On the other hand, the iCans, these are what you would consider a Chinese wheel set. So they're manufactured in China, as are these, but they don't have the R&D behind them. They don't have the marketing budget behind them. They're not gonna be as mindful of these minor details, these marginal gains, least of which is weight. We already weighed them. These are clearly much lighter, which is gonna be faster without question. So we're gonna do a test, and you guys know from the last video, the course already, these are my training roads. It is a very specific loop that we're doing, out and back, and I'm gonna hold a very specific power. I think it's gonna be 250 watts because I am out of shape. And also I'm doing 4 runs this time. Gonna respond to some of you guys in the comments. Thanks for giving me your feedback. So constant power, constant body position. I'm gonna keep the same number of bottles. I'm gonna be hydrating throughout the day. So nothing else is gonna change on the bike, even the same tires and tubes, except the rim. Between runs 1 and 4, I'm doing the same wheels. 2 and 3 are the same wheels. So if there's any change in atmospheric conditions, wind, temperature, otherwise, things are going to be evened out. So we should get some pretty reliable data at the end of this, and we should determine, is it worth spending the extra $2,000 on the CLX 50s? We're getting ready for run number 1 on the iCans, and EJ, I'm a little nervous, dude. I haven't ridden my bike in a month. So 250 is going to hurt. It's going to be a workout today. Run 1 on the iCans, run 4 on the iCans, 2 and 3 on the CLX 50s. Let's rip it. Later. Woo. There's that crosswind. I'm feeling the crosswind now. First run's over, let's switch the wheels. Got the Rovals on now. Let's go for runs 2 and 3.
Race ya.
All right, round 3 done. Dude, Rovals felt great, not gonna lie. I have some thoughts, but first let's finish the 4th and final round with the iCans. I love riding my bike, EJ. I'll tell you what, the vibes are back, bro. Round 4 is complete, we're done. Let's go eat some lunch and then look at the data. All right, guys, back into the garage. All right, you guys, back into the garage, and let's dive into the results from today. All right, so we're in Strava looking at the data now, and this should look familiar. These are my testing grounds. This is an out and back loop I did 4 times. Each loop is just under 5 miles with 178 feet of elevation gain. It's 4.8 miles for each loop. So exact same loop, exact same power. The only difference is we're changing the equipment. I did this run 4 times. Runs 1 and 4 were done with the $500 50mm ICANN wheels. Runs 2 and 3 were done with the $2,500 Revol CLX 50s. The reason I staggered it this way is to account for any environmental drift that might occur throughout the day. Say the wind changes direction, say the temperature changes, atmospheric pressure, even things on my person, like if my weight changes throughout the run. So the reason we're doing this is just to get good repeatable data, and we can make an accurate comparison between these 2 wheel sets. So without any further ado, let's just get into the data here. Runs 1 and 4, done with the $500 ICANN. Look at this. 12 minutes, 36 seconds, 276 watts. 12 minutes, 36 seconds, 276 watts. You can't ask for better repeatable data than that. That's right, exactly the same power, exactly the same time. Runs 2 and 3 with the CLX 50s, we got 1231 at 276 watts, 1214 at 276 watts. So, what does this mean? Well, we only saved 27 seconds over about 25 minutes of riding. That is not much, you guys. That's only 1.8% faster, so it's pretty hard to justify that extra $2,000 for the CLX 50s. But that's not where the story ends. There is a fundamental problem with this test. I'll be the first to admit it. And the keen-eyed among you are probably yelling at your phone or computer at this very moment telling me, Jeff, you're doing it all wrong. Here is the problem. This is not a race simulation. In races, we don't just hold constant power like this. Maybe in time trials, you hold constant power like this. But for everyone else doing road races, crits, Gran Fondos, even commuters, let's pop back over into Strava. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, this is a crit I recently did in Chicago. And if we look down at the power here, this is far from just an average constant power throughout this race. If we really drill down and you look closer, it is so sawtooth like this. Like, I mean, we are either sprinting or coasting, it seems like. Either 0 or 1,000 watts. Which means we're doing a lot of accelerating. And this is happening throughout the whole race. And just like we learned back in physics, force equals mass times acceleration. In other words, it requires a lot of power to accelerate massive objects. So let's not forget about the weight difference between those ICANNs and the CLX 50s. That's 400 grams. If you're having to accelerate those extra 400 grams 50, maybe 100 times in a race, well, that really starts to add up. It's definitely a lot more consequential than the 1.8% difference that we measured in our kind of fake constant power runs earlier in the day. But what about these other characteristics of race wheels, like road feel, stability, stiffness? How stable are they in the crosswind? These are all very important, and they're also quite subjective, so bear with me. But I'll tell you now, the ICANNs did not feel great overall, especially in the crosswind. Things felt noticeably different. I'm 160 pounds, and I'd like to think at this point I'm pretty good at handling my bike, but I wasn't about to take my hands off the bars when we hit the crosswind on those ICANNs. I can't imagine what it's like for a 130-pound rider, new to the sport, in a peloton, in a massive crosswind. That's a recipe for disaster. The CLX 50s, on the other hand, look, I've ridden these things for thousands of miles, maybe tens of thousands of miles at this point, and I can tell you they just ride different. They are built to handle crosswinds, and they feel like a dream, to be quite honest. Okay, so bottom line, are the CLX 50s worth the extra $2,000, or are the $500 ICANNs good enough to get by? Well, I'll start by saying I have lost plenty of races on the $2,500 high-end wheel set, and I've also won plenty of races on $100 cheap aluminum wheel sets. So yes, this is a sport where you can buy speed. There's such thing as marginal gains, but you can't buy enough speed to win races. So my suggestion is buy what's going to make you ride and race more. That's going to make you a better racer overall. But between these two wheels, here's my suggestion: don't buy either. None of the above. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I still think the sweet spot for good carbon race wheels is in that middle ground, that $1,000 to $1,500 price range. You get almost all the benefit, all that trickle-down technology of the $2,500 really high-end wheel set, but none of the sketch or quality control issues that I've found on the $500 wheel set from companies like ICANN. I've had maybe you guys, your mileage may vary. I've had really bad luck with those cheaper wheel sets. If you want some specific suggestions in that $1,000 to $1,500 price range, the Reserve 50s that are right up there, those are the team wheels this year. Those feel great. Token has some really good offerings in that price range.
the Konex Pros, I think they're called. Rode those for a while. Bontrager Aeolus, same thing. I rode those a couple years back. They saved my skin, actually, with fantastic crash replacement policy. They sent, no questions asked, they sent me a new wheel within a couple of days. So my point is, there's so many good options within that price range. But I realize a lot of you probably aren't looking to spend $1,000 or $1,500 on new carbon race wheels. I mean, you might have just spent a bunch of money on a new bike, and you're like, I have to spend even more money? No. Here's what I want to do for the next video. I want to know the difference between low-end carbon and aluminum. So here's my plan. I want to go out to the same course. I want to do the same runs, but I want to incorporate some accelerations into the next testing protocol, because I want to actually simulate race day a little bit better than I've been doing. And I want to do those tests on aluminum versus entry-level carbon, and I want to see what the difference is. So if that's something that is interesting to you guys, do me a favor, let me know down in the comments. And it doesn't just have to be wheels. Any gear comparison video, I love making these. It's so much fun. So get subscribed. Don't forget to click the notification bell too. That way you don't miss any of these future videos. As always, thanks for hanging in there. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
3, 2.
Jeez.